Meeting, the hearing. I'm joined by Councilmember Cardenas. It's Wednesday, June 8th. Anna Marie, let's start with consent items. So why don't you start with, Mr. City Attorney, we don't have a quorum, so any action that we take will be a communication from the chair. Let us start with item 1.
Item 1, CRA and CAO reports relative to a contract with Urban Land Institute, a contract amendment with ACOM, and a memorandum of understanding with the County of Los Angeles.
Okay, on item 1, we'll adopt the CAO report. It brings us to item 2.
Item 2, Los Angeles Housing Department and CAO reports relative to a request for authority to create accounts, appropriate grant funds, and release a request for proposal to provide outreach, training, and enrollment services in support of the lead hazard remediation program.
Okay, we'll adopt the CAO report on that item as well. Item 3.
Item 3, CDD report and resolution relative to authorizing the execution and delivery of a first supplement to the Series 2005A installment sale agreement and a first supplement to the Series 2005A trust agreement in connection with the City of Los Angeles Adjustable Rate Certificates of Participation Series 2005A for the benefit of the Kadima Hebrew Academy.
Okay, so we have been joined by Councilmember Reyes, so we have a quorum. So on this item, we will adopt the CDD report and the resolution. Mr. Reyes, we've already acted on items 1 and 2. Would you like to be recorded as an aye vote on those 2 items? Sure. He indicates yes, so those items will be moved by this committee. That brings us to item 4.
Item 4, CDD report relative to authorization to submit the 2012-13 Community Services Block Grant Community Action Plan to the State of California Department of Community Services and Development.
Okay, we'll adopt the CDD report on that item. Item 5.
Item 5 is a motion, Weezer-Koretz, relative to authority to transfer $900,000 of previously encumbered CRA funds to the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority to pay for the preparation of required environmental documents for the downtown Los Angeles streetcar project.
Okay, on that item, we'll adopt a motion. Item 6.
Item 6, CAO report relative to a request to approve a panel of consultants for the Office of Economic Analysis. And there is an amendment to recommendation number 2 in the CAO report, which just clarifies that it's the list of consultants for the service categories listed in the findings section of the report.
Okay, so we'll adopt the CAO report as amended?
Sure. There are specific recommendations, or did you want to move the entire thing?
Do you have, well, here, I'll just do it. We'll adopt the CAO's recommendations, number 1 and 2 as amended, 4, 5, and 6. And
we're good to go.
Yep. We should be ready to rock. Yes. Okay, so on that item, to be deemed approved. And that brings us to item 8.
Item 8 is in Council June 10th, CRA report and resolution and CLA report relative to various actions related to the issuance of tax-exempt multifamily housing revenue bonds in one or more series in an amount not to exceed $8.2 million for the Montecito Apartments project located at 6650 Franklin Avenue.
Okay, on that item, we'll adopt the CLA report. At this point in time, so all of those items without objection will be deemed approved. We have public comment, so we'll take public comment and then we'll go into the agenda. James Porter, Mr. Woods, and Sony Alondel. Please come forward. Mr. Porter, you're first.
When do I start? 1 minute now?
Well, I think we can go 2 minutes.
Yeah, there we go. That's very good. First of all, I want to say good morning, Mr. Hurwitz.
Good morning.
My name is James Porter, and I'm a member of Los Angeles Community Action Network. I'm here today to ask you to move forward with the pending RSO reform. I know it's a hard job being a committee chair and trying to reach compromise on every single issue that comes before you. For over the last 2 years, these pending reforms have been floating around the hall of City Hall without any leadership being taken by the committee chair. Other committees members have stepped up to the plate and attempt to create a balance between landlords and tenants. Yet the committee chair has failed to act in ensuring that these policies move forward. In order to ensure that you are a fair chairman, you must take leadership on pressing community issues and engage with a wide range of people in their dialogue and take action in a timely manner. This is the time for you to take the action to ensure we do not face another rent increase in 2012. Mr. Chairman, we are your constituents, and we rely on your decision to balance more fairly the rent control between landlords and tenants during these economic crises that we are facing. What I'm saying here, Mr. Chairman, we understand your position, and we know it's a hard job at times, but we need you now to step up to the plate. All right? Thank you.
Mr. Woods.
Yes, before I start my 2 minutes, I guess it's too late. I like to pass these. I passed these around last year, around the same time. Mr. Wesson, it seemed like I'm chasing you down like a dog in heat to try to get you to do one simple thing that needs to be done for the Angelinos. And what that is, you need to put a freeze on this rent. Because if not, we feel that there's something else behind this whole thing of you stalling, and letting time pass so it automatically kicks in, sir. Something is wrong with this picture here. And you leave us no other choice but to believe either you are with us or you're against us. This is a hard time right now. People cannot even afford to even eat. And yet still the landlord gets $2,500 each year. And then they say they don't even have enough money to hire more staff to go around in the hall and pick up dog shit. Excuse me for my language.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, wait. I listen to you. You can say anything you want, but we don't curse here.
No, I'm sorry, that's fair.
No. Your time is done. Next.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Council Member. My name is Sonia Abdel. I'm a proud member of LA CAN and a tenant at the Alexandria Apartment Homes. I've been staying there since January of 2009. I'd also like to tell you that in that same year, Logan Property Management received $53 million. I live in a dilapidated apartment building. It is a historic building, and I hate to see it go down. The management does a lot of do-overs. They fill in cracks, they plaster, they paint over, but they do not renovate. I've had my apartment sprayed 5 times, and on Friday they're going to come in and put down some gel because the other 2 apartments have roaches, and the tenant had just moved in there about a month. And I know for a fact that they had bombed the room next to me, and it was also vacant for months. Now, the reason why I don't have bed bugs and roaches is because I spray my walls and my closet area every week. Because every week on Thursday and Friday, the exterminator's been there since I've been living there. They're either on my floor, which is the 5th floor, or any other floor. And I walk into the elevator, I smell chemical, and I smell chemical for 2 or 3 days after they're gone. And now I'm going to have to smell chemical again. And what I would like for you to do is do an investigation, because I don't think it's fair that I've been breathing these toxic chemicals that cause cancer for the past 2.5 years. And I would like for you to find out what did they do with the $53 million that they received, and if they cannot renovate this historic building. Even the marble on the floor is chipped, and I found out that was real marble.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Cardenas.
Hold on one
second. Don't go anywhere, Mr. Cardenas.
Sony, is it?
Yes.
Sony. Thank you. I remember the Alexandria hotel, as it's called, actually got funded and done in our lifetime with the current management and owner of that building. And I don't ever remember the city council hearing a number or approving or being involved in any number of $53 million on that building.
I've read this.
Excuse me, hold on a second.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask you, where did you get the number $53 million from? Where did you hear that from, or where did you read that at, or what document did that come from?
Yes, that came from the downtown newspaper.
Oh,
The
enough said.
downtown
That's
news-
fine. That's fine. Never mind.
Okay.
Okay, good. I thought it was a point of fact. Thank you. Never mind.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That now brings us Ms. Chapman, Mike Miller, Nick Damon, and Steve Diaz. Ms. Chapman?
Good morning, everyone. I am also a resident of the Alexandria Hotel and Apartment Homes. Just a little something for you this morning, as I am an artist. It has come to my attention you plan to raise my rent. Well, my question is, what happened to all the money that's already been given? Has it all been spent? Let's be honest, there are literally thousands provided year after year to care for citizens that really need assistance. But to hear you tell it, the lack is persistent. And that's funny, because from where I'm standing, I see them so clear. The only thing persistent are the bed bugs, my dear. Ah, yes, the bed bugs, my neighbors from... They have bitten me and my friends, causing body parts to swell. They aren't harmful. They won't infect you with anything, is what I'm told. But my boss is concerned that I might spread them. Who knows? All I ask is that you be fair about this game. I understand there's money to be made, but people are literally in pain. See, it hurts to know that no one cares how you live. As a matter of fact, it seems like you'd rather we were dead. I know, it's not that serious, you might be thinking, but you don't live in the Alexandria, where despair is reeking. You don't live where I live, so you don't really care. You can sleep sound at night because there's nothing to fear. Well, I woke up this morning to thank God for another day, another chance to make a difference, and of course, my bed bug spray. Thank you, Lord, for my job and for my creativity. Through these words, I hope they understand the degree of severity and think twice before raising my rent, despite all the flaws that are already present. Please open their hearts to what is fair and what's right, and not what looks good in black and white. Okay, Lord, this is my morning prayer. Last but not least, thank you for the roof over my head, and even though I have troubles, that I might have some peace.
Thank you. Ms. Chapman, I thought I heard you indicate that you were an artist?
Yes, sir, I am.
Are you a writer and an actress?
I'm an actress, I'm a writer, I'm a newly found producer and director. Yes, sir.
You're very talented.
Ms.
Cardenas.
Ms. Chapman, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Are you asserting that someone is putting these bed bugs in the building or something? Or what is the nature of your complaint about the bed bugs?
My nature, the complaint that I am making is that the bed bugs are prevalent.
Okay.
And I find that really disturbing that people can even entertain the idea of enforcing a policy that asks people who live in that building, having to live in such a despicable condition, to pay more to keep that condition thriving.
Okay, I understand that,
That just is...
but I was just a little bit confused because you're talking about the bed bugs.
I'm
but
talking about the bed
would you-
bugs in
excuse me,
relation to the
Hold on
the
one second,
rent
please.
raise.
What would you, what is it your understanding or your recommendation that be done about the bed bugs specifically?
Yes, sir. I think that the concentration should be to remove all of the flaws, or at least those things that you can control, which are bed bugs and roaches. I know
And
that
how do you get rid of bed bugs and roaches?
I think personally, in the Alexandria, because it is a very old building.
Yeah, it's about 100 years old.
Yes, that there needs to be a really thorough cleaning and extermination process.
Such as fumigation, extermination, things like that?
I think something that hasn't already been done. because that isn't working.
All right, yeah, because I was a bit confused, because within two speakers, Mr. Chairman, we had one person complaining about fumigation, and another person basically expressing that the problem is so bad with these bugs that perhaps fumigation and thorough fumigation should be a remedy.
Well, I think that there should be an investigation if there are other measures that can be taken
Thank
to
you. Thank you,
alleviate the problem.
Thank you so much.
And thank you.
Okay, so now, Mike Miller. In fact, the last speaker on this item, Thelmy Perez, if you'd come forward. Thelmy Perez.
I believe she just stepped out for a second. She should be right back.
Okay. Thelmy Perez, please come forward. Okay, Mr. Miller?
Yes. Yes, my name is Mike Miller. I'm here also to speak regarding the referee situation and the cost of living. We all, well, a lot of us today who have our eyes open to reality, a reality that a lot of people don't want to see, but it's a reality that's not a good one. Know that the cost of living is not helping things with the economy right now. In fact, you know, everything is way too high right now, and it's at a point where everything is so high, there are too many people who can't afford it. And no matter how high those prices keep going up, the economy keeps getting worse instead of better. There are a lot of people, even in these hard times now with the economy being like it is, they need a place to live. It's difficult even to get a job without a place to live, even if those jobs did exist. You know, people, you know, people deserve the right, you know, to be able to live like decent human beings, you know, and I don't see where, you know, having things continue to go up the way they have is going to solve anything, you know, and I believe that, you know, that people like yourself do have a heart, Mr. Wessing. I believe that all of you have a heart. I believe that everyone involved, you know, cares, but my only question is your sense of direction and how you're going about doing things. When it comes to things like that, I believe that it's very, very important that this referees happens because we need something done to try to solve the problem. And the way things are going right now, unless we have the referees, as you've heard from other people, it's without the referees, we don't have a chance. Regarding homelessness, you know, I believe in housing, I believe building these affordable housing units is part of the solution, but it's not the total solution because there's too much time and too much money involved. And there's a lot of people who are homeless who may or may not even have that time because when they're in that situation, you never know what could, you know, what could happen to them. So I just wanted to say that I really hope that you look in your hearts and do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Diaz.
Good morning, Housing Committee. My name is Steve Diaz, and I am with the LA Community Action Network. The example spoken of today is of a property that would be affected by the upcoming July 1st rent increase. Although this property has attempted to do comprehensive bed bug treatment, it has failed. Additionally, it is currently understaffed and is understaffed. That is the reason why the dog feces is publicly visible within the grounds of the building. Just to clarify, we understand that your job as committee chair, Councilmember Wesson, is extremely hard because if you swing one way, you swing the other way, you're bound to get yelled at by someone. That is not our intent. Our intent is to ensure that there is balance created between landlords and tenants and to ensure that if the July 1st deadline is not met, that we do meet a deadline by July 12th to ensure that comprehensive RSO reforms are met to the benefit. Although this process has seemed to have gone for a long time, there is still the possibility of reaching a balance and a compromise, and we want to make sure that that's understood and publicly put out on record. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There's no Nick Damon? Okay, Ms. Perez.
Good morning, Councilman Wesson and committee. First of all, I know you guys are probably so sick of hearing from us, right? But we're here because we feel that this is a very important issue that we're facing right now in our city and in our country, right? There's been mass evictions across the board, both homeowners and tenants all across the country. In my district, where I live in District 13, I've seen my neighborhood change drastically. I have 2 dogs that I walk on a daily basis, and every day I see more for rent signs go up. I recently read an article that says that 19,000 people have left my district. That's not a surprise to me because I see so many signs up. In this article in the LA Times, there was no real analysis, but I know the truth. I know it's because the rents are too high and people just simply can't afford to live where they live. I'm in the same predicament myself. This morning as I was leaving my home, one of the stairs fell off of my stairwell. I almost fell through. But these are the kinds of conditions that myself and thousands and probably millions of tenants are living in Los Angeles, where we're afraid to complain about the conditions which are shoddily enforced because we can't afford another rent increase. So for anyone paying close to what market rent is for one bedroom, it's something around $1,000. I have 2 bedrooms. I'm paying well over $1,000, trying to rent the other room just to make sure I can make ends meet. Still difficult. And I'm not the only one. It's millions of people across the board in all of your districts. So if we're in your face all the time, it's because we're on the street and we're in the buildings and we're in people's homes and we know their stories and we hear them every day. We see homeless people on the streets every day and we can't simply walk past them or ignore them. We know that this is just a symptom of the housing crisis that we're living in. So we urge you to push forward with these reforms. We urge you to take a look at the real state of the city and where we're going as a city, because I think that you believe in human rights as much as we do. And the human right to housing is a right for all of us.
Mr. Reyes.
And then after.
I just want to, when I thank you for your energy and your activism. I think apathy could be the worst thing that could happen to the city. So having you present here, all of you, speaking to the issue is very important. The other day at the state government, I believe it was in the Senate, what was termed as moderate Democrats, they chose not to include the type of policy that allows local municipalities to determine inclusionary housing type regulations and specific methods by which we can create more inclusivity. So my point is, it's at all levels of government. I'm not passing the buck. We have our share of responsibility, but the multiple approach to these issues, because it's a complicated one, is one in which I'm hoping this group can entertain when you look at the pressures at the state and the pressures of the federal government. And it's going to take that type of effort, but that does not mean you stop doing what you're doing. It just means we have to figure out a more strategic way working together, understanding the state's role and the federal government's role. But I appreciate what you're saying.
Mr. Carter.
Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for your testimony as well. I just wanted to ask you, how long have you lived in Los Angeles?
Since 1996.
Since 1996?
And I was 18 years old. I came here to go to school.
And where did you live before then?
I've lived everywhere from, small apartments, dorms, people's couches.
Outside of the city of L.A.?
Always inside of the city of L.A.
Okay, so you've always lived in the city of L.A.?
Yes.
I was hoping you could give me a personal perspective on what the rental situation or the housing situation was that you've experienced outside the city of L.A. But since you've lived somewhere in the city of L.A. all your life, then you probably wouldn't have a stronger perspective elsewhere other than where you've always lived. So
that's not true. I actually do. We're in communication with groups from across the country and across the state, so we know very well what the state of housing is across the country.
So what would you like to share with us? If you don't mind, would you like to share with us perhaps a perspective that you've just expressed, that you've been in contact with other organizations outside the city of L.A. on the issue of the rents and rent stabilization, the lack thereof of housing, et cetera? What's it like outside the city of L.A.? Is it much, much better than inside the city of L.A.? Is it a litany of issues similar to the city of L.A., or what would your perspective tell us?
I think across the board, if you live in California, if you live in New York, if you live anywhere in the Middle East, if you live anywhere that's experiencing the same financial crisis that the entire world has faced over the last 3, 4, 5 years, I think everyone is really struggling to pay their rent. So there's a lot of articles that have come out in the New York Times, multiple hundreds probably of studies that have come out that the rent is simply too high in the country, but in cities like Los Angeles that are in high demand, it's even worse.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I want to thank all of you for coming. That brings us to item 7. Anne Marie, could you read that item?
Okay, this is a CDD and CAO reports relative to the results of the Domestic Violence Shelter Operations DVSO Program Request for Proposals for Program Year 2011-12, and authority to negotiate and execute agreements with 12 providers and an amendment to a contract as well.
Okay, I think we'll wait for a second, let it quiet down a bit. Yep. Now, let me tell you what I'm hopeful will occur where it relates to this item. I do want to say that I respect the department and all of the hard work that you did trying to pull this together. I recognize that it was somewhat challenging, but it will be, and this is for I want everybody to listen to the people that filled out cards or what have you, because if what I'm going to attempt to do works, there should be no need for you to answer your telephone.
I'm just kidding.
Now, there should be no need for you to say anything. So, members, what I'm going to request, because I do think that many of us share concerns where it relates to this process, that we receive and file the CDD and the CAO reports, and that we extend the current contracts for domestic violence shelter operations for the next 12 months, and instruct the department to come back with a new RFP for the 38th program year consolidated plan. So if I can get the support on that, then I would believe there would be no need for anybody other than members of the committee to say anything.
But people are welcome to speak, but...
They are, Mr. Cardenas. Let me land this plane. Just let me land this plane. You're right. So...
The runway's in the vision.
Mr. Cardenas.
Yes, thank you for point of clarification, Mr. Chairman. So the motion that you just proposed is that the current contracts continue for the subsequent 12 months, giving the city the opportunity to reset an RFP, terms and conditions to put out to the public so they can bid. Now, my question to you, Mr. Chairman, at what rate would we continue those? Because we have been curtailed at the federal level with income to the city. So I'm just curious, are we going to be funding it at the rate as of last fiscal year, 100% or 98% or 96% or 90%?
It is our desire to fund them at the current level. Okay. Now, if something were to occur, then we would, bring that back and discuss it. And then at that point in time, maybe there'll be somebody else that will have to deal with those issues. Okay. So with that, Mr. Reyes.
Mr. Chair, that was cool. Oh, too smooth. Would it be strategic if we understood the challenges that the speakers would have spoken to, so that they have this period of time to work with the staff and or the council officers, so that by the time we do this in the next 12 months, we've learned from the lessons of this process that, thank you for your stewardship in this, allows us to maybe have a smoother landing next year.
You could be absolutely correct.
So understanding what challenges we had and we were about to express, which I don't think we need to anymore, start looking at it now, so we have a 12-month head start, if you will, and perhaps next year we'll be much more prepared for the changes that seem to be inevitable.
No, that makes sense. Mr. Cardenas?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, according to the con plan, it looks as though maybe what we can do, if you don't mind, if I could add an amendment, a friendly amendment to your motion, that the amount across the board be reflected in the figure of the con plan. It's my understanding that the funding level is anywhere between 92 to 95% of what it was last year. So if we did that, then we could give the department the opportunity to negotiate those figures with each of the providers, and then that way it would be much smoother, and then we could be able to have 12 months of understanding rather than maybe 8 months of an adjusted figure, and if we could give that to the department. Thank you.
That's fine.
Thank you,
So,
Mr. Chairman.
Anne Marie, if you could add that to what I said, Mr. Reyes.
It's just in the context of my previous statement, we could have a report back maybe in 60 days to respond to the questions and issues that would have been addressed today, just
Yes.
to get a feeler and give the department that amount of time to respond. It offers opportunity for the providers to have an ear, if you will, and a sounding board so that we can start constructively preparing within those 12 months.
No, I agree. And then when you do come back in 2 months, I want you to be in a position to address concerns where it relates to, I mean, for me, LA City-based operation paying for these services from that are in Long Beach, the group that submitted a RFP 27 minutes late, and so there are a lot of things that I just like to understand. So if we could add Mr. Cardenas's and Mr. Reyes's report, then that will be the order of the day. Anne Marie, do you need to say anything?
I would feel better if I did, yeah. I just
Well,
want to
in fact, but before you say anything, Neil, what are you hiding from?
Nothing, I'm making notes on this.
Okay, then you go on.
I just want to clarify that the 12-month period coincides with the con plan, so it's April 1st of this year through March 31st of next year.
Fine. All right. Is there any more business before this committee?
No, sir.
Then this committee is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.